All right, so I know I kind of tricked you on this one in this lesson because the xHR and fetch are a little bit longer, and this is the third part of this lesson. And in this lesson, we're going to focus on the challenge. So the objective of this challenge is to get data from JSON placeholder.typeofcode.com/todos. So essentially, it's a to-do list on this website, so it's an API, and create elements that are green for completed and red for ones that are not completed items, and list them all out. So you can use fetch, and you could also use the xHR as well. So that's up to you, and do it either way that works. So when you come into the web page, make sure that you get the URL correct, and then load the JSON. And within the load JSON, you can make your fetch request to the URL and output the response information, so returning back that response information in JSON formatted, so you can use response JSON and then output it, and then make use of it within your JavaScript where you loop through the data and then update depending on what the data value is. You can set the div color to green or red depending on what the value, the Boolean value is of the task. So go ahead and try this one out. You can pause the video and I'll walk you through the solution. So I've got the URL here, and usually when I do use these APIs, I usually go to the URL and just make sure that it is working. If it's working in your browser, chances are it should work no problem within your code. So again, I am using the live preview in brackets. So that's giving the ability to have HTTP address. So some of these APIs, they're going to be restricted if you're using the file protocol. So make sure that you are on the HTTP protocol before you try this. And you can use various editors such as brackets in order to accomplish that. So you go to live and live preview, or you can just click the little link here, the little lightning bolt. So also let's select our output area. And this is going to be that div element that we have on the page. So document and query selector, selecting the div element so that we have somewhere we can output our output. And you can call this function whatever you want. So this is a function that's just going to get invoked. No parameters being passed into the function. And this is where we've got our fetch, where we're fetching to the URL that we provided, and then using then to get the response data. And then that response data, this is going to be returned as JSON. So we're doing response JSON, and then another then, so this promise, and this is where we can make use of the data that's coming in. So using the data value, first we'll output it into the console so that we can make sure that everything is working properly. So see, we're outputting all of this information into the console. So we've got all this user information. So we've got a nice full list here that we can use. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming in through this API. So next thing that we want to do, since we've got the data, we've made sure that we did get the data properly. Let's create our loop. So using just a regular for loop, we've got x, while x is less than data length. So this API is different than the other one. It didn't have results. So you just have to be careful because all these APIs are going to be different. They're going to be structured different. We're going to create a div object. So document, and this is where we're going to put the output. And this is also going to give us an option to style that output. So create element, and the element that we're creating, it's a div that we're going to create. And then now we've got a condition. So all of this data that's being outputted, you can see that there's a bunch of values here within the data. So we look at the user, we see that completed is a Boolean value. So we can use that and have a condition to check to see if data, because this is Boolean, we can check to see if it is completed. And then we can set the div style color to green, or we can set it to red. And we can also do this in another format as well, where we've got the div style using a ternary operator. So setting the div style color and then checking to see if this value is true. And if it is, then what we do is we set that to green. Otherwise, it's going to get set to red. And also we want to update the inner text content of that element. And I'll just put a dot there. And data x again, and title. So we get all of that information into the element. And next we use output, append child, and we're going to append those divs that we're creating. So let's see what that looks like. So we've got our full list, and it looks like the first ones that are coming in. So we've got quite a bit of data here. So the first ones that are coming in, so they're completed false. And when we get to number 4, or with the ID of 4, this one's completed true. So we're able to output all of that data and make use of it within our JavaScript code. So do something with the data that's coming in. And when you refresh it, so this list is staying the same. So it's not changing like the other APIs. So all this content coming in is staying the same. So go ahead and try this one out. Have some fun with it, as there's a lot you can do with Fetch.